Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the 2U's of 2U's Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at 2usfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our 2U's Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode. Hi, Kelly.
Hey, Marsha.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, considering I have the rest of this week, because it's Wednesday, and then I have next week, and then it's finals week. So, ramping.
School's almost over.
Yeah, it's almost over.
It's crazy how fast that went.
It did go fast.
Yeah.
Very, very fast. And, of course, there's a million things that still have to be done, and there's only a week and a half to do them in class, and then another week to do the final things before finals week is over. So, yeah, it's that time of year, and I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed, and then I thought to myself, okay, I've been teaching for 29 years, so that means I've closed out the semester 58 times successfully. So I know I can do it. But it sure doesn't feel like it until I remind myself how many times I've done this before. So, yeah.
It doesn't probably feel like you're reinventing the wheel, but it's probably sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, you just have to remind yourself, okay, I've done this before. Yeah. I know what I need to do. There's going to be a couple of days that are just really horrific, and everything else will just fit, and it'll all work fine. I'm not going to ruin anyone's life because I didn't get to this one particular section of the differential equations chapter. How about you?
Oh, I'm fine. No, I'm sorry. I was momentarily distracted. I'm alone here. Ben's not home right now, so usually when we record, he takes Enzo down in the basement or outside. So he was just laying on a blanket next to me, and I had given him one of those... what are they called? Those rubber. It's called a Kong, I think. It's like a rubber thing that you put peanut butter or something inside. And so he was laying there, but then suddenly he just heard a dog and ran off. So, but see, I'm now I'm almost like strapped to the table because I, I'm by the microphone, earbuds in, near the computer. I can't move. Anyway, he'll come back. But if he barks, I'm sorry. We'll have to figure out what to do. But. Anyway, I have also a rawhide here for him too if he comes back. But
dog sedative.
Anyway, yeah, dog sedative. It's like a pacifier or something. Yeah,
it really is.
Anyway, but it's funny. I was trying to find things for him that keep him sort of calm, especially when you're having like a party. Like Saturdays, we always gather for dinner, And I had bought this really cool. Puzzle ball for him. It was his Christmas gift, and you put a little bit of kibble in one half of it and then screw the ball together.
Right.
And as he moves it around, a little piece of kibble will fall out. Well, I have hardwood floors. Oh my gosh. It was so loud. So I thought, so at my mom's house, she has wall-to-wall carpeting, so I thought it'll be better over there. It's a little better, but not much better. And so it really kind of was getting on our nerves, so I bought this Kong thing, and everybody has them, but they're like a hard rubber, and then you can stuff treats inside it, something sticky like peanut butter
or smashed cheese inside. We used to do that,
or something.
Cheese, yeah,
and then he loved it, and everybody was really happy because it was like a pacifier or what did you call it? Tranquilizer,
yeah. The other thing we used to do are those hollow bones. That they're bleached and not super. Not the ones with meat on them and that get all over the place. So I'd get those, and then I'd smash like a little bit of cheddar cheese on the inside. Enough to make it interesting, but not so much that it was gooey. Yeah. And that was another really good something to occupy.
Well, I had to go buy dog peanut butter because, I use what we eat at home is the Adams. I know you eat that too, the stuff that you have to stir up. Well, it's so runny. I thought, I can't put that in there because it's going to run out, right? So I had to go buy Skippy. Because it's so stiff, it'll stay inside, Yeah. But anyway, that's what's going on with the dog. Anyway, what are you drinking?
Well, I have a cheap grocery store Malbec that I'm drinking tonight. It's good, tasty.
Well, I today went to the grocery store and I bought Lagunitas IPA from Lagunitas Brewing Company in Petaluma, California.
All right.
But I was reading the fine print, and it says, "Thanks for choosing to spend the next few minutes with a special homicidally hoppy ale. Savor the moment as the raging hop character engages the imperial qualities of the malt foundation in mortal combat on the battlefield of your palate."
Okay, I'm not sure you can drink that and podcast at the same time. That's too much going on.
I may have difficulty speaking.
Yeah, if there's a battle going on in your palate.
I'll have to say, let me just practice. Garter, squish, Afghan. No, I'm okay.
Perfect.
Well, anyway. Well, I have to say I have to tell you why Ben is not here. Normally he's here this time, but he got a job.
Oh, yay!
And so he actually has an evening class tonight. I think starting at 6, but he works 10 to 5 at a motorcycle shop.
Nice.
And so he's all excited about all the things he can potentially buy at the motorcycle shop. But anyway, so
kind of like if we worked at a yarn shop.
Yeah, it's going to be dangerous, I think. So he went and got the job on his own, went and talked to them, and noticed that one of the employees that was always there was not there, so he asked them about a job, and they said, send us your resume. So he put together his resume, and then he went out to where he goes to school. They have they'll help you with your resume. Okay. So he got help, and I said to him, "Well, do you want me to proof it?" And he's like, "Okay, yeah." Then I said, "Well," and then a couple of days later, I said, "Am I ever going to proof that resume?" And he said, "No, I sent it already." So I never even saw it.
Nice.
But he, he's getting so independent now. But anyway, so he's going to have that job, I guess, through the summer. And it's working out well since this quarter he has, all evening classes, so he can work during the day and then head out to class. And then I think he's going to go to summer school, but I think he's going to do an online class. But then you meet, I think, just one day a week out on campus. So we'll see. Anyway, so that's why he's not here.
Well, that's great. So he's going to add to his motorcycle stash with his new job.
He has 4 that are together. 2 that run, 2 that are actually, look like motorcycles but don't run, and 1 that's been cannibalized is all in parts. So technically 5 motorcycles. And about 10 bicycles.
It's his.
That's way more than one person needs.
No, but Marsha. It's like his artist supplies.
Yes, that's true. I cannot complain, right? I can't complain.
His art is just different than yours.
Yes. Yeah. No, but anyway, he's excited about it. He's having fun. So projects.
Yes. What are you working on? Anything right now?
I am. I'm working.
While we talk.
Yes, I'm working on the Easy Folded Poncho by Church Mouse Yarns. I've been working on that for a while. That's just, and it's simple. It's just, stockinette. So I've been working on that. So I don't know. I can't think when I started it. Before I came down for the retreat.
Yeah, I think it was right before the retreat. It was probably the episode before the retreat that we were talking about the $6 rectangle pattern.
Yeah, yes. So I'm working on my $6 rectangle. But I would say I have knit 24 inches probably.
Oh, that's good.
And it's funny when I printed out the pattern, it cut off. It's just it tells you how many to cast on, and then stockinette, blah blah blah, but then it says knit until it's so long, but I cut that part off. I think it's 50 inches, so I have to go back and print out another copy, but reduce it or just or just look online, look it up and see how big it is. I could look it up and see but I think it's 50 inches, and then I fold it in half, and then I am going to put the cowl collar on it.
That'll be nice.
I'm going to do that. Yeah. So I think I have enough yarn. Actually, I have to laugh because all my projects right now are Goodwill yarn, because I'm using this poncho. I'm using the silky wool by Elizabeth Lavold, and I think I got 6 skeins of it at the Goodwill. So that's what I'm making the poncho out of. And then I started and finished a project too since we last recorded.
Ooh. And
it's a hat called Greenery Beret, and the designer is Melissa LaBarre, or LaBarre. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. And it's from a book that I bought in 2011, and the reason I know that is because the receipt was still in the book. But it's called Weekend Hats, 25 knitted caps, berets, cloches, and more. And it's a beret, kind of, and it has, I think it is that feather and fan pattern. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's really cute. But the yarn, what happened is, and I've talked about this before, is I tried not to go to the Goodwill because I don't need any more things. But every once in a while, I just okay, I have to go. So I went to the Goodwill and they had 3 balls. Somebody must have started a project and decided not to use this yarn, or it was left over because it didn't have any tag on it. It had been wound into a cake. But I think it's Madelinetosh.
Oh, nice.
Because it's, you know how Madelinetosh, we've talked about this before, it almost looks like it's glazed. Yeah. Kind of, the dye is always on the outside, and if you kind of unply it, you can see that the inside is not really, there's not much dye in there. Mm-hmm. And so I'm pretty sure that's what this yarn is. Okay. It's blue. It reminds me of denim. Because it's, different shades of denim blue kind of in there. You know how Madelinetosh is...
yeah, so it's sort of tonal.
Tonal, yeah. So it was $1.99 for 3 balls.
Wow, that's nice.
So I used the one that was kind of the denim color, and then there's 2 other balls in there too, which are the same. Kind of a greens and blues and a little bit of pink or something in there. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I thought, why am I knitting this when I have so much other gorgeous yarn that I paid a lot of money for? And I think it was because it was already in a cake. I didn't have to wind it.
You didn't have to think about anything. Yeah.
So anyway, and it fits nice too.
Oh, good.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah, you said you needed a hat.
Yeah. So, and really what I was looking for is a pattern to use that yarn that I bought over in Ellensburg.
Meadow.
I don't remember.
Mountain Meadow or...
Yeah, Mountain Meadow, yeah. But I just thought, well, this one's already wound into a cake, so I just started it. But I had to wind more of the silky wool for my poncho, so I wound 2 more skeins into cakes. And I wound that other one for a hat. I wound that into a cake. So I thought maybe tonight I'll start... I'll do a little swatch and see.
Yeah.
Because the label says it's DK, but it's kind of a heavy DK.
Okay.
So I clearly need to swatch and get a gauge. But that's all I have for projects. I will say, though, on the trip to the Goodwill, I bought more than just that Madelinetosh yarn. I found something called White Buffalo, the Canadian yarn.
Yeah.
And it's the unspun, it's like very fine roving kind of. Mm-hmm. I have 4 balls of it, and they're all different colors. They're all natural colors. So I have a cream, a brown, a gray, and a gray and cream kind of variegated mixed one. So I thought that was interesting because we've been talking about this yarn, right? Because this is what they use for the Cowichan sweaters. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it. The balls are big, but they only have 122 yards in them. So, but it says that it's super bulky. So
yeah, what needle does it say? Suggested needle size?
Let's see. I'm looking at it. No, it does not. But let me look at it because I was looking it up earlier and sometimes there's more information on the iPad, on Ravelry,
right? Than is on the ball band.
Oh, he says here, needle size US 11 to 13.
Okay.
So, pretty big.
Yeah. You could maybe do some kind of... Well, actually, there's a really cute, I think, vest. I don't know if it's made out of super bulky, but Pearl Soho has a really cute vest pattern that's just garter stitch. And it's color block. It's not color work like Fair Isle or anything. It's different blocks of color. Mm-hmm. But that's a really cute pattern. See, it's in my queue. Well, let me see if I can find it.
And while you're doing that, I'm just looking on Ravelry. Just like, here's a woman who made a sweater. I don't know what size it is. I'm going to look. But she used 732 yards.
Yeah, I don't think you need very many yards for a sweater of something that bulky. Okay, so it's called the Sideways Garter Vest. No, it's Aran weight. Mm-hmm. But you could do it looks simple enough that you could do some recalculating. Mm-hmm. But it's cute. It's Sideways Garter Vest by Pearl Soho. It's a free pattern. They have it in 2 colors. But you could do it in more. The collar is 1 color. And it's basically a rectangle with holes in it for your arms. But it's a really cute vest. And it's a free rectangle pattern with holes for the arms. Basically like the large buttonholes that you put your arms through. I looked at it for my neighborhood fiber company yarn. I thought, I could make a 3-color vest out of it. And it takes 750 to 1,000 yards of Aran weight. Mm-hmm. So probably less yardage than that in the bulky weight. Mm-hmm. Anyway, something to think about.
Yeah, it's a thought.
Yeah.
Because I was looking online and it says that it's discontinued. So I don't know how I would find... If I wanted to make a sweater out, I clearly would have to find more. So, I don't know.
The other thing is, I don't know what your colors, but you know the color of that CVM? The CVM that I sent you? Mm-hmm. Would that go with the colors that you have?
Yeah, because, all the natural colors, I think they all kind of go together.
Because I'm spinning, I don't know if it's super bulky or bulky. I'm not sure what the weight is, but I'm spinning for the Cowichan sweater that I want to make. Mm-hmm. And so, it might not be for a while before you get the yarn, but I could add if you needed another, if you need another few hundred yards, I have enough. I have like 6 pounds. Well, actually, I don't have 6 pounds yet. I don't have 6 pounds left anymore because I've spun a bit of it, but I'm sure I have at least 3 pounds left. I don't think I've even spun half of it. So, you're more than welcome. I would not mind sending you a couple of balls of that CVM spun in that same way.
But how would I spin it? Because you have your special wheel for spinning the yarn for the Cowichan, right?
Yeah.
How would I spin it on my wheel?
Well, I was just saying I would spin it for you.
Oh, you'd spin it for me?
Yeah, because I'm spinning it for myself, so I'll just spin a couple of extra balls and send it to you.
Ah, okay. Well, I guess I should start looking for a pattern.
Okay, now, wait a minute. This is not going to happen tomorrow.
Okay.
Hold your horses. Or as Robert says, easy does it, big fella.
Yeah, whoa, Nelly.
But yeah, that could make up a little additional yardage if you needed it.
Okay, but I would also like to point out, I don't need a Cowichan sweater because I have a Cowichan sweater.
No, a vest. A vest.
Oh, make the vest.
You can make the vest. Yeah, with different colors. Yeah. I don't know. Just a thought. I'm just,
Well, I keep saying this. I should just wear my Cowichan sweater.
You should.
But it weighs about 40 pounds. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but it weighs a lot. But I should just wear that thing.
You should.
I've seen people, when I was in San Francisco, I saw 2 men. Mm-hmm. Not together. Like they weren't knew each other. Like, oh, let's wear
matching sweaters.
They were 2 separate occasions, 2 separate days in Cowichan sweaters. Mm-hmm. And then I saw a guy in my neighborhood too in a Cowichan sweater. So I wonder if they're making a comeback.
Ravelry has made them popular again.
Oh, really?
Just like Ravelry made the cardigan popular again, not Michelle Obama.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, so I have added to my stash from the Goodwill, and I'm intrigued by this. This yarn, because it doesn't even seem like yarn. It's like roving,
right?
Really.
Well, and there's an Icelandic version of that called Plutalopi or something like that. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it spelled. I've only heard people talking about it on other podcasts. I think Claire from New Hampshire Knits was talking about it, and the 90% knitting, I think Lisa was making something out of the plutalope. Anyway, there's a Icelandic yarn that's similar, that's really just basically unspun. And I'm intrigued by it. I think it would be, and I really want to make the Cowichan sweater, but I'm not sure. I might ply my yarn. I know that's not traditional, but I still might do that, just to make it have a little bit better wear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I wonder how, well, my Cowichan sweaters, I mean, I bought it 30 years ago, I think. And, they do pill.
Yeah.
You kind of have to give it a haircut every so often.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking I might want to ply the yarn instead of use it as singles.
Yeah.
But...
Well, what I'll do, Kelly, is I will take a picture of this yarn, the balls, and send it to you.
Okay.
And you can tell me. Because I know that CVM is quite a warm,
yes,
kind of, it's like light butterscotch kind of.
It is. It's more orangey. Well, and not orange is not right, but it's more toward the sort of warm edge of brown, as opposed to the cool side of brown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or beige.
But would you agree that all natural colored wool goes together?
I think so. Yeah. I do think so. I think it would just depend. Like if you had 3 or 4 that were all on the cool side and then just one on the warm, I'm not sure how that would look. Or would that be just like a contrast color? I don't know. Yeah. I haven't played with natural colors in quite that way. Like I really like all of the colors. They're not natural colors, but all of the grays that I have in my Ohm shawl look really nice together. But they're all sort of the cool end of brown, like browny gray on the cool side. And I don't know that I would want to put in something that was not, although people suggested adding in a red, and that would have been pretty, and that's on the warm side. So it might do the same thing if it was a warm neutral. Yeah, I don't know. You have to play with it a little.
Yeah, and it's not a top priority because I have so many things that I don't know. I don't even know. I mean, I have so many ideas.
Right.
Well, I'm looking here at Ravelry, and there's a Will Trade or Sell section. So there's people who want to sell.
You might be able to find people destashing that yarn.
Here's 2 skeins in a cream.
Oh.
Yeah, interesting. And here's a 1 skein in a, I don't know what color because there's 2 colors in a blue and a yellow in the picture. So I don't know. Anyway, but I could start looking around.
Yeah.
That might be an interesting thing too. Or you could spin it for me. All possibilities.
Yep.
Well, because the other thing, though, is I've talked about in other episodes, I have several sweater quantities worth of yarn, and I've been swatching, trying to decide what I'm going to make, and I haven't quite found the right thing yet.
Okay.
So, and I don't know what pattern I want to do. I don't know which yarn I want to knit with first. I just have to pick one and start.
Right.
And that might be why I did the hat, because I needed to break from the stockinette rectangle.
Yes. And you weren't ready to choose.
I'm not ready to choose.
Yeah.
No. So, anyway. But that's it for me on projects.
Okay. Well, I'm ready to be done with the endless stockinette. Although it was really good. I'm working on the Edie, of course. And I actually got all the way to the bind off and was ready to do the sleeves. And then, do you remember at the retreat, at the Knockers retreat, there was a class by Elizabeth Doherty on the linen. Maybe it wasn't in the class. Anyway, she mentioned something about how she was at a retreat and she said to about 3 different people who were working on a sweater, well, have you tried it on yet? And then they tried it on and then they had to rip it out. And so what she was saying was every time she came by, people were like running from her. No. Because they didn't want her to ask. It was like the kiss of death for her to ask, well, have you tried it on yet? Because then you'd have to rip it out.
Right.
And so I had not tried the Edie on because I'm doing it on a circular needle. It's one of those aluminum, craft store old-fashioned circular needles, and small. It's not that big, and so I wasn't able to try it on without putting it onto another needle. So I had it on 2 needles, so it would be able to be big enough to try on. So I was like, oh, I don't need to try it on. I had tried it on up to about my waist. Well, I was making it longer than my original Edie. Mm-hmm. I thought I wanted it maybe an inch longer. But I didn't think about the fact that if I go an inch longer, I actually also have to go wider because that's my hips.
Right.
And so it was too tight at the bottom. So I got all the way down, I bound it off, I tried it on, and it was too tight at the bottom. So I ripped it back, and then I got it to the point where I have to do the short rows again. And then I was at a place where I couldn't. I was at my dad's, and I needed something mindless, and I couldn't knit the short rows. So that's to the point of short rows.
Okay.
And then the Havannah.
And I'm going to interrupt. Were you able to try it on again to see if it's wide enough now through the hips?
I haven't tried it on yet.
Oh.
I have to try it on before I did put it up against my other Edie, and it seems to be right, but I still haven't taken it off of the needles and put it on. But I added a significant number of increases. So I may find it's too wide when I try it on.
It's flared.
Yeah.
It's like a peplum now.
No, I think it'll be fine. But yeah, so I need to try it on first. You're right. Thank you for reminding me. And then I need to start the short rows that make the little scallop.
Just call me Elizabeth.
Yeah. So that's where Edie is. And I was at a conference this past weekend. Oh, well, it wasn't the weekend. It was Thursday, Friday. And I did not bring it for knitting during the conference, but I did knit on it at night and got myself to the point where I'm ready to do the short rows. Mm-hmm. And then I have the Havannah, and I put probably, because it's just stockinette, I probably put about 3 or 4 inches on it while I was at my dad's. Mm-hmm. Because I was at my dad's over the weekend after the conference with not a lot to do with my hands except knit. And so that was good. I got quite a bit done on that one. But I don't want to go too much further. Again, I don't want to go too much further without trying it on. The last time I tried it on, it was about, like I said, about just past my belly button. And I'm doing increases because it doesn't have waist shaping where it goes in and then out. It actually has like a A-line. So all of the shaping is increases after you get past the bust, you just do increases, which I thought was odd. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would have thought you would have decreased a little bit, but there were no decreases. Hmm. So I'm moving along on that, but it's just, there's a lot of stitches. It's size 3 needles, I think, on the Havannah. It's, it's a fairly fine gauge. So, but it's making progress. And then I started a pair of socks that were my knitting that I actually took with me to the meetings of the conference. Mm-hmm. So, do you remember when we were at Maker's Mercantile? Mm-hmm. And I bought the CoBaSi to make those socks that had stripes.
Oh, right. Like a turquoise and a...
Yeah, it's kind of a Caribbean blue color, kind of a deep turquoise and a poppy red orange. Mm-hmm. Not California poppy, but what are those, corn poppies or whatever? Mm-hmm. That's going pretty well. I'm at the heel on the first sock. And I was going to knit on those while we were recording, but I was at the heel, I realized. Mm-hmm. So now I have picked up, I'm making now a 4th of the in 3s baby sweater. Mm-hmm. I made 2 for a woman at work who's having twins. I made 1 for another woman at work who's having a baby. And then there's a woman in my family. It's kind of a cousin, removed in-law sort of situation. Mm-hmm. And they just had a baby in March. So I'm making a bigger size of the sweater for them since their baby is already born. Whereas the other 2 haven't been born yet. The other 3 haven't been born yet. So this is the fourth one of those in threes sweaters out of the yarn that Colorando yarn that's like 20 plies of thread. So it's kind of a fun pattern. It's easy and it makes a nice little baby sweater. So that's what I'm working on as we talk. But those are my projects. Edie, Havannah, my striped CoBaSi socks that I've been working on, and now this thing I just cast on today, the fourth baby sweater.
Okay. Oh, I know something I forgot to say about the hat that I made. It was this feather and fan pattern, and the shaping you do, like yarn overs, but you also do the decreases is a knit 4 together.
Oh my gosh.
Have you ever tried to knit?
Yes, on my lace doily. Use a crochet hook.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to say, is I did not think of that. And so I was struggling and struggling and struggling, trying to get, it was on 7s. And I have these kind of blunt 7s. They're not good at all. And so I was just struggling and struggling. My hands hurt and everything. All of a sudden, I thought, well, I could just use, I use a size 1 needle that would just slide in there and I could pull it through that way. And then I have a knitting group that I've joined, and we got together last night, and someone said a crochet hook. I'm like, oh, okay, why didn't I think of that? So I'm sure, like, you knew that, and probably other people know that, but if people don't know that, if you ever have to knit 4 together, a crochet hook.
Well, no, I wouldn't have known it, except I was reading on the lace group on Ravelry about doing these neebling patterns and all of the, knit 10 together. One of the parts of the
oh my gosh, 10 together?
Like, there's no way you can't even begin to knit 10 together. You have to do it with a crochet hook. So yeah, I didn't think of it myself. I read it somewhere, but it's a good tip. Anyway, it's a really good tip.
It's an excellent tip. I wish I had known that. I mean, I did use, as I said, I used the size 1 needle, but I could get the needle through those loops. That was easy, but I then had to struggle to pull the yarn through. Yeah. So like the crochet hook is just, of course, that makes total sense. But anyway.
The tricks of lace knitters.
Yeah.
So I do have some yarn that I just got to talk about. You were talking about the yarn you got at the Goodwill. I mentioned this in the episode about the bees. When I went up to Sebastopol to pick up my bees, I went to a yarn shop called Yarnitudes, and very cute yarn shop. And I found it because I was, you know how you, I just knew I was going to be in Sebastopol, so I just put in yarn shops near Sebastopol, and it came up.
Yeah.
And so I looked on the map, and it was actually across the street and maybe, walking distance to Be Kind, where I got my bees. So if anyone's going on a road trip to that area, there's also a yarn shop in Petaluma, which is close. And there might be one in Santa Rosa, too. So if you're going to be in that area of California, I would highly recommend, if you're going to Yarnitudes, to also go across the street and down a little ways to Be Kind, which is a beekeeping supply store, but they also have honey and like beehive products, other beehive products, beeswax, candles, royal jelly, pollen, things that people eat as like dietary supplements, that kind of stuff, all from the hive, but all different kinds of honey from all over the world, not just their own honey. So that was kind of cool to see that, to see all of that in there, in the shop at Be Kind. And it's, like I said, it's just across the street and right down the, maybe like a 0.2 of a mile or something, not even very far. So yeah, and Yarnitudes was a cute shop. It had a pretty good mix of sort of workhorse yarns, the basics, and then also some interesting things. The woman that was there, Trudy Moss, that was her name, that the woman that I met who helped me there, and she was really nice. We talked quite a bit about the shop and just the kind of traffic she gets from just people, tourists coming through and people looking for antiques. She said, it was funny. She said, I have a big sign more than one outside that says yarn shop. The name of the shop is called Yarnitudes. And people will park and come in and be like, well, where are the antiques? Because there's an antique, like a big barn kind of area, like one of those like old-fashioned, like an old-fashioned garage, like car shop kind of garage building that has antiques in it. And she says she always gets people coming into the shop like, well, where are the antiques? And she said one time this guy was arguing with her. Well, it says it says antiques right outside on that sign. And she's like, no, on the sign it says Yarnitudes. So anyway, it was very fun, and I ended up buying two things. I didn't get any like local dyer or anything like that. Although they did have some yarns from Royal Hair, which is a company that I've seen at Stitches before, and I've bought spinning fiber from them. But the yarn I got two skeins of something called Bamboo Pop. It's a universal yarn company. It's 50% cotton, 50% bamboo. And I was sort of in the baby sweater mode. So I think I'm going to use it to make a baby sweater. It's 200, almost 300 yards in each skein or ball. They're already caked up. And I got one that's a purple and pink and yellow. And then I got another one that's kind of a teal and a paler teal and a pink. So that was one of my purchases there. I was in a cotton and baby yarn mode. And then I got another skein of cotton. This one is just 100% cotton, I believe. Yes, pure mercerized cotton. And it's Ella Ray Phoenix DK prints. So this is one that will self-stripe in some way. But you know how the sock yarn will often have a picture of how it knits up?
Yeah.
This one doesn't, but it's a print yarn, so I think it looks like it will have, just by looking at the colors in the ball, it looks like it will have some larger stripes and then some smaller, like, I don't know, sort of like Fair Isle-y bits where it's maybe checkers, smaller areas. The color is called Key Lime Pie, and it's a bright green, a pink, a blue, a yellow. So, good baby colors.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of neon-y. And the mercerized cotton should wash up really nicely. So, I don't know what I'll make with it, but I decided I needed to add I needed to add to my cotton stash.
Yes.
Not.
I've seen your cotton stash.
Yes. And most of my cotton stash is spirit yarn. So this is one of the, these are some of the few skeins of non-spirit yarn in my cotton stash. So, but I'm kind of in the mood to make little things. I think because I'm in the process of making 2 sweaters for myself. Plus I have that crochet sweater that I have to figure out and get back, get back going on. And so many big projects. It's just nice to have a little, like your hat, put something in the middle that just goes fast.
Well, and I was surprised how quickly a hat goes. I mean, I made it in 2 days.
Yeah.
Because it's less than 300 yards, probably 250 maybe, I don't know, and then it's on 7, so it went really fast, except for those darn knit 4 together. Slowed me down, but anyway. Yeah.
So that's all of my projects. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I have one other thing.
Well, I just had one comment, and I watched the videos that you posted of the swarm and also putting the bees into their new home. And I had a couple thoughts. The first one was, oh my gosh, that is so loud. When the bees were swarming. Well, I have to back up and say, you called me the day they were swarming and you're all excited. And I'm like, okay, that's exciting, Kelly.
I couldn't stand it. I was standing, just to describe for the listeners, I'm standing right next to the trunk of the fig tree, looking at the swarm when it had first landed in the fig tree and taking pictures. And then I'm like, I can't stand it. I have to call Marsha.
Yes.
So I'm standing there talking to Marsha right next to the bee swarm.
Yes. And the thing is, when you called me, I thought, okay, this is really cool. You know, I was excited. It's not that I wasn't excited. I was excited, but I didn't fully understand until I saw the video of like how cool this was.
Yeah.
Because you really have to see the video. And so my comment about that was my first thought when I watched the video was how loud it was. And that's just recording it on your phone, right? Which never really captures the full extent of what something looks like or what it sounds like. So it must have been incredibly loud, these bees swarming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and when I was at my dad's, I watched it on his TV. He has a Apple TV, so he can like whatever's on his phone, he can just mirror it to the television. So like big screen HD. It was very cool to watch.
The bees look like 747s on that TV.
I had only just watched it on my phone. I had and then I put the video onto the computer, but I didn't really watch it when I was doing that. I was just trying to get it done. You know, I just strung them all together. So when I watched it at my dad's, it's like, whoa, these bees are huge.
Yeah. Yeah, that was impressive. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you is the video where they're swarming and they're all in the fig tree. Mm-hmm. And you say something about you shaking them into the box. So did you actually like hit the branch or shake the branch to drop them down into the box?
By that point they were in the apple tree. And
the apple tree.
I just took, and I was afraid because it's like one of the main like the trunk branches, and so it was a really thick branch, and so I was afraid I was going to have what I first did, and I really didn't like the feeling of this at all. I had gloves on, but what I first did, I had seen people in situations where the bees, they weren't easy to shake, where they just like grabbed handfuls of them and put them in, and so I tried doing that with the gloves on. And so I you gently grab a bunch, but it felt like they were ripping because they're like Velcro. They're hanging off of each other. And I couldn't, it was not a feeling that I liked. It felt like I was ripping the bees. And I was trying to be gentle, not squeeze too hard, but then I like had to squeeze a little bit to get them, and then it was like buzzing, like electrical, kind of like an electrical shock. So I was like, okay, wait, I need to think of a different plan. This isn't working. And I thought, well, they're awfully heavy. It was a big cluster. Even if I can't really shake this branch, a lot, like from the fig tree, it would have been easy because the fig branches are really loose and you can move them around. But this apple branch was a kind of a stiff one, more like part of a trunk. And I thought, but the cluster was so big and it was hanging down so far, I thought, I bet if I just give it a jolt that they'll fall. And so that's what I did. I kind of grabbed above it and just gave it a really sharp pull. And a bunch of them fell down. And then the rest of them, I had a natural bristle paintbrush, and I just kind of brushed them down into the hive after that. Yeah. So when you shook it like that, did the queen come too? I don't know if she was in that group or if she was in one of the later clumps that fell down when I was brushing them. I'm not really sure, but it was pretty clear that she was in there after a certain point because they were all just up on the top of the hive fanning. And I don't think I put that video. I don't think I included that video, but they're all just like with their butts up in the air fanning and releasing pheromone to say, here's our home, here's where the queen is. And that was super loud. I mean, it's like the airfield. That's what airplanes going in and out is what it sounded like. Helicopters and airplanes with the wings of the bees. So yeah, I got the queen in pretty easily. I never did. I didn't see her while I was doing that process, but the way they were acting, I could tell. So yeah, it was amazing.
Very cool.
It was very amazing.
Yeah, no, I was really glad you posted those videos because it was really fun to see. And then I have to say, watching the second video of putting the bees that you purchased into the hives with your bare hands and shorts made me nervous. I was glad your hair was pulled back in a bun.
Yeah, I need my
I
need my hair out of the way because they get stuck in my hair. But now I don't usually work the bees without work them. That makes it sound like I'm doing training or something.
Right.
I don't usually do anything with the bees without long pants and gloves on and regular. Well, I've been a little bit more lax about the shoes. I used to be, super careful that I had on socks and shoes, and then I would rubber band my pants to my socks so that nobody could walk up my leg, and I've gotten more lax about that as I've gotten more comfortable with them. But that with an installation with a package, they're just not defensive. I mean, my experience has been, and what I've read, they have nothing to defend. They're just bees from a bunch of different hives that have all been dumped into a box with a queen in a cage, and they're like, "Wait, what just happened?" And so mostly they're just confused. And Robert had quite a few of them land on his head because he's bald and he's the tallest thing around while he was videoing me. And so some of the bees that get shaken into the package have never been out of the hive. They emerge and they become nurse bees. And it's not until the end of their life that they go out and forage. So some of these bees had never been out of a hive before. And so they just don't know. They don't know where they are or what to do. And so they just find the tallest thing in the vicinity and land on it. Like, okay, wait, what? And so
they're really confused.
Yes, and so he had several of them land on his head, and at a certain point, he was watching the video and he said, "I should really not talk at all while I video you because I sound really mean." At a certain point, he's like, "Okay, hurry up, get that done."
Because he wants to get those bees off his head.
The bees off his head. That was making him really kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was quite funny.
Well, you seemed comfortable. I mean, you mentioned a couple times in the video that you were hoping that you at some point be more comfortable with the bees, walking around in your hands and stuff, because they're not aggressive at all. They're just sort of bewildered,
right,
confused, right?
Yeah, at that point they are, and and even when you do your hive inspections, there are a lot of people who don't wear gloves while they do their regular hive inspections because, for the most part, if you are going into the hives during the middle of the day and you have relatively docile bees, the ones that are the most defensive are the ones that are out. You have guard bees, but you also have the foragers. And in the middle of the day, they're out. They're busy. They're doing their job. Yeah. And so the ones that you encounter with your fingers while you're pulling out the frames are the nurse bees that are not, I mean, they don't know anything except just keeping care of the larvae, and making wax and stuff. So there are people who do, inspections without wearing gloves. And it would be so much easier if I could make myself get comfortable where I wasn't wanting to fling them off my hand the minute they land.
Yeah.
But I'm not there yet, so.
Yeah, that's a natural reaction to want to fling them off your hands.
Yes. Yes. And there was one point where one of them landed on my lip, and I'm like, So there were a few little moments of inner panic, but I try to, I'm practicing my outer zen when I...
Yeah, you're good on screen because I didn't see any panic. So
Well, and they're just so interesting. Now that my, like the muscle memory part, I feel a little bit more coordinated with the stuff I have to do. Now I can focus on how interesting they are. And it's a lot less, I have a lot less of the like adrenaline rush from the buzzing. At first it was all that buzzing, just like, oh man, I could barely keep my thoughts together while the buzzing was going on around me. But now I get kind of into it and I can kind of tune the buzzing out. So, but they're doing great. They seem to be, at least. So far, so good. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that everything goes well. So
good.
Yeah.
Your babies.
Right.
30,000 babies out there or whatever.
A lot, yeah.
A lot, yeah.
20,000 came home with me, and probably, maybe 35,000 by the time you count the other hives, the 2 hives, the one that split and swarmed.
Very cool. Yeah, it's exciting. Anyway, and we had one other thing we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, well, remember last regular episode when I talked about the finished object radar on Ravelry? Well, that seemed to be a much appreciated thing. There were quite a few people who commented in the thread that they didn't know about it, and now they're kind of hooked. So I thought that was pretty funny. There was one woman, paint color on Ravelry, and she is Carrie, and she's from New South Wales. And she said, thanks to you, I'm flipping back and forth between Excel, she was at work, and the FO radar. So that was cool. I admit I occasionally do that at work too. And then there was another one that I thought was really great. There's Gemma Bell, and she mentioned that she has this really bad feeling of guilt if she hasn't fixed her photos so that the most recent one is on top, and if she clicks finished without them being in the right order. And then the funniest thing, Casey Yams, who is Christina, and she's from Maryland, and she is a fellow crazy person, because I didn't even think of this, but I'm just going to read her post. She said, I love the FO radar, and like you, always make sure my first picture in a project is a decent picture of the finished object. I must admit, when I'm about to mark a project finished, I open a new window and go to FO radar. Then, when I change the status to finished, I quick go over to the other window so I can see my own project go by on the radar. So I guess I suffer from that special brand of craziness too. I never thought of that, but that is so cool. I'm doing that next time.
Well, I have not done that, but I remember thinking to myself when I post stuff, and I would look at how can I see my object in the finished object? And you can't, but you can do it that way. So that's brilliant.
Yes.
That's not crazy, Kelly. That's brilliant.
I thought it was pretty genius, yes. And now I'm going to do that so I can see my own stuff go by on the finished object radar. And then lastly, not related to the project radar, but the FO radar, but my trip to Arkansas, I did have someone who lives in Van Buren, Arkansas. That's Creative Lady 1, and her actual real name is Betty, and she sent me a message to say just that it has a lot of parks, and there's a place that you can go and hunt for diamonds. It's kind of like in the I don't know if you've ever done in the gold country in California, where you can go panning for gold.
Yeah.
I kind of imagine it as the same kind of thing, mostly for kids, but kind of exciting. So we might go do that. I looked it up, and it's actually pretty close to the part of Arkansas that we're going to be in. So she's not from that part of the state, but she is in Arkansas. So I got some recommendation for some things to do. She mentioned some parks to visit and this place to hunt for diamonds. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be doing. Yeah. Cool. All right. Anything else that we have to talk about? I don't think so. We are going to be at Black Sheep Gathering
And I should tell you, I booked the motel room.
I saw that, yeah.
This morning I booked, or afternoon, I can't remember, I booked our train tickets
Nice.
down. So,
okay. So, yeah, we'll do some kind of meetup. We won't have the trailer, but we'll find a place and we'll have a get-together and we'll give details on the podcast and in the group and stuff so people will know. Yeah. I'm not going to Retzlaff. I won't be able to go to Retzlaff Winery this year. But I will be going to Black Sheep Gathering, so we've got exciting things in the future.
Yep, I'm excited, so. All right. Well, I guess I'll get back to knitting.
All right.
I'm going to get back to my stockinette rectangle.
You better see how many inches you need so you don't go past.
I know.
Need to follow,
if I went past,
you need to follow that pattern, Marsha.
I have to follow it closely.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2usfiberadventures.com. We have links for iTunes, Google Play Music, YouTube, and others.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2 U's
doing our part for World Fleece.